What are those things that keep you up at night?
Daily anxiety, 3 panic attacks a week. Everybody thinks it's easy. Everybody sees the Rolls Royce outside. Everybody sees the houses. Everybody sees the vacations. Nobody knows what kind of shit we go through daily. During the deal is the toughest part of the transaction.
If you could go back in time, would you change anything at all?
I would have bought a lot more real estate when I had the opportunity. I wasn't pissing it away on popping bottles.
Welcome back to another episode of Intrepidus Podcast, episode 10, with your hosts, Dan and Anthony. Today we have Alex of Team Black Star with eXp Realty. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm your casual real estate guy. I've been in the business for a few years now. I run one of the largest teams in, I would say, in New Jersey, but my main focus is Monmouth and Ocean counties. Do some in Middlesex. I got a team of close to like 25 agents now between New Jersey, and I just recently expanded into the Florida market as well. So that's kind of a little, background on myself, what I've been up to.
How did you get involved in in entrepreneurship in the business world? Like, where did it all start? Is real estate your first angle, or where did you start in this whole journey?
So I was never a kid that liked school. I was always hungry to make money. I was always hungry to stay busy. I grew up playing tennis my entire life. I was a very competitive kid. Took that all the way up to, amateur pro level, whatever you want to call it. Turned down college scholarships. Ended up giving tennis lessons. When I dropped out of college when I was 19. I went to Brookdale for a quick minute, left. I said, I'm going back to swinging tennis rackets. Started giving tennis lessons. Was making good cash, was doing very well, but there was always this thing where I enjoyed playing tennis. I enjoyed the competitiveness. When the opportunity for real estate came about, I was a 21-year-old kid. I took the test, passed, got into real estate, went to Century 21 over in Freehold. I think I lasted like 1 or 2 months and realized, I was putting in work, putting in time, and nothing was coming together. People weren't calling me back or people were leaving me this and that. I gave it every opportunity. Nothing was happening. Went right back to swinging tennis rackets. Was making good cash, but I realized that I can't do that for the rest of my life. So when I was 23, my dad had a close friend that ran the Remax office in Manalapan. The guy said to me, listen, Alex, I want to give you an opportunity. I think you'd be great at real estate because you have the personality, you got the drive, you got the work ethic. Why don't you give it a shot? Come under me. I said 100%, I'd love to. Came in, started working with him again while still coaching tennis on the side. 2 weeks into it, guy drops dead. I was in a situation where it's like, great. My dad said to me, listen, this is your one shot. His wife never really ran the business. She needed the help. He ran a monster business over at Remax. He was the owner of the Remax, and he had a big book of business. I stepped in at that time to try to start helping the wife and kind of got thrown into the fire. I was about 23, 24 years old at that time. And that's when I fully really got into real estate, started kind of learning it, getting busy. When I was 25, I officially decided to hang up the tennis rackets because I had made, I think, 140 grand my second year in real estate, full year anyway, and realized that, I might as well give it my full force behind it. And that's kind of how the whole, trajectory of my career got going.
Right. So you said it's something that struck a chord because there's a lot of people that we speak with on a daily basis who've been on this pod before, and the large objection that they have to face is that they don't have support. It seems like you did have the support. You had support from your father. What role did he play in where you are today?
He was an old school Ukrainian, strict, like very by the book kind of guy. Came to America when I was 2 years old when we came to America with absolutely nothing. My mom had me at, she was 18 years old. So I watched my parents kind of come up from, I grew up in Brooklyn, 1-bedroom apartment. We were literally the first white family in that building, believe it or not. So like when we moved to Jersey and my parents kind of started making money, I was about 10, 11. So I came from seeing every side of life and seeing how my parents came up. And the one thing my dad never did was he never gave me any kind of handouts. Even when he became successful, he always wanted me to work for it. I was a kid that was very good at sports. I was very athletic. I thought my whole life was tennis. I was going to be a pro. I was going to be top 20 in the world. Unfortunately, I wasn't blessed with certain athletic abilities in regards to, I'm a smaller guy, didn't keep growing. So when the pro thing didn't work out, my dad realized, like, listen, this kid literally didn't do shit with school at all. He doesn't want to do school. He realized that, real estate was my only shot. So he did give me that opportunity with connections from his accounting career. But when I stepped into real estate, I never got anything handed to me, not for a second, not from anybody. If anything, everybody that knew me saw me as a young, athletic, tennis-playing kid or a party boy who was, hanging out with his friends and getting drunk every single week. And it wasn't everybody knew me. Nobody trusted me with real estate. So it really took a long time for me to get my foot in the door, which now looking back on it, everybody's like, oh, he knows everyone, or he was successful from the start, or whatever the situation might be. And the reality is I had nobody helping me in the first place. Every client, every lesson learned, every time I put my foot in my mouth, I was learning financially. I was learning all these responsibilities as I went. So now that I'm in the position I am today, when a lot of these young guys looking at me and they feel bad for themselves, or 6 deals fell through, I look at them and I'm like, guys, this is a joke. I'm like, what I went through every single day is you don't even need to experience that, because I'm here to coddle you all day. So it's very different these days.
So you talked about your wife. Tell us a little bit about your wife, and you got a few kids, and how does your wife play a role? Because I can imagine how busy you are, weekends, all the time. Phone's always ringing.
Yep.
You'll be out. You got to grab the phone. What kind of role does your wife play in your business life? And also, how do you split your time? Like, give your kids some time that maybe you're not working, or you feel guilty, the phone's ringing, and you really want to do something with your kids. How do you balance that whole? I know it's not balanceable, but how do you try to balance your life and your business?
So, my wife is the OG, where she runs the entire business. If anybody knows me, they know that. My wife is the person that runs Black Star. My wife is the person that does all the payroll, the marketing, dealing with every single agent, dealing with every headache that there is in my business. My wife handles everything. She takes everything off my shoulders. My job is to go out, sell real estate. I'm still daily taking my phone calls, working with my clients, taking the listings, working with some buyers, but actually running of the business, keeping all the agents happy, dealing with all the behind the scenes bullshit, which, by the way, would not be possible without my wife, because when she came into my life, I was doing 30, 40 million a year as a single agent, right? She started out as my assistant, actually. So thank God for me, it worked out. But we didn't start seeing each other till a solid, year and a half after she was working for me, whatever it was. But she took my business. She saw what I was good at, and she took all the back end stuff where I have zero organizational skills. So she took all the stuff I didn't want to do away from me, which freed me up to make more time to do what I do. And we went from 30, 40 million to a $200+ million business within a 3-year window that keeps growing at this point. So I would say she's, without her, there would be no Black Star. As far as, time, kids, this and that, the one thing I'm blessed with is the ability to, in real estate, technically speaking, I could do whatever the hell I want all day. So besides being attached to my phone and making time for my appointments, at the end of the day, it's one of those things where you make enough money. We like to go on vacation. That's my mental escape. Once a month, I need to get away for a weekend because I start to shut down. So that's our, thing that we like to do. Kids, pick them up from school every single day. Activities, I always try to make it a point to show up. Weekends, at this point in my career, I started making more time to be home on the weekends, enjoy them, spend time with them, where now that I have all these younger guys and a lot of people on my team, I'm giving away a lot of the business. I'm giving away a lot of the opportunities to them, where I'm dealing with the bullshit, but I'm dealing with it. I could be dealing with it from home. We're on vacation, wherever. My phone is never down, but at least I can make time for my family more with the levels of success as, we've been growing.
Your kids are young, and I have 3 kids, and I've been a business owner my whole life, throughout their entire lives. What do you feel you should be teaching your kids now, even though they're super young, as they grow? Because they're going to look at you as a role model. They're going to appreciate everything you did for them. And something I like that you talked about your dad, and there was no handouts. What specifically do you think you want to teach your kids now that they're going to take into the future? Even though they're young, they're still going to adapt to it, and you're going to continue to train on it.
I think the world's changed a lot in the last, however many years or whatever. I'm 35 now. I think, my high school age was, I think we were the last generation of, normalcy, if you ask me. So I see, I'm looking at my daughters, and my biggest fear is having them turn out like some people that I see on a daily basis right now. So A, I try to be a present father. B, I don't want to push them into anything, where give them an opportunity for everything. And the biggest thing is, what I did get from my parents is there is no such thing as a If I give them everything, they're never going to appreciate it. They're never going to work for it. So although I want to spoil them, and I do, as they get older, I want them to have that work ethic and have that discipline where I got to this day. I thank my dad, my mom, my grandparents for never, no matter what position we were at in life, they gave me everything, but they always told me that you're never going to have anything unless you do it yourself. So for the biggest thing that I want to give to them is the same type of discipline I got and the same type of decent head. Like I feel like I have a decent head on my shoulders in regards to what really matters, what's bullshit, have a good sense of people. I want them to be around the right people. I want them to be loved. Everything from there, they grow up, they're on their own. But
right, you said people have a good sense of people, picking the right people. Well, for starters, I don't think anyone could ever fill those shoes of the best hire ever. It seems like your wife took that.
Got lucky on that one. I've made a lot of mistakes. She was the best decision I ever made, where to this day, and she jokes about it all the time because a lot of the other hires I make, she's like, you're a moron.
In multiple ways, I'm sure. But how do you pick your team? You did say something before the pod, which we discussed, that you came from another real estate agency. And the one reason that you didn't go from one to another is you were trying to find one that you could take your entire team with. So one, why is team so important to you? And two, how did you pick your team? How do you continue to pick your team?
So I was never a guy that really wanted a team. I was making good money by myself, and I'm still a competing agent. A lot of guys in my position right now, it's actually a misconception. A lot of these guys have stepped out. They're giving out leads all day, and they're not competing real estate agents anymore. For me, I actually enjoy selling real estate. I like being in control of my own money and my own destiny. So the reason I started a team was specifically because I was getting too busy to sustain it on my own. When you get to a certain point, you can't take all the calls. You can't take all the leads. You're going to start losing money if you're not growing. So the reason for the team was more so because I saw that there was a big demand for my business and I kept growing organically. You got to start surrounding yourself. When I first started my team the first time, which most people actually don't know, I failed miserably. I hired a few agents, had my wife as like the admin or whatever, this and that. Shit fell apart real quick because we had an organization, never had it done before. Oh yeah, here, take this, take that. None of that shit works. So it's really, and now as we grow, what's very important to me is I look for character. I look for work ethic, and I look for people that will actually stick with me. I don't want to have a revolving door as a lot of my competition has, which nothing against that. Their business models are their business models. My business model is if I bring you in and I give you my time and I open up my book of business, I want you to stay with me. How am I going to keep you? Easy. A, you got to get paid correctly, right? And B, it's all about growing together. So I never called it the Alex Pritzker Group. I wanted it to be a group of professionals that, if you're with Black Star, you're known as you got your shit together and you really know your stuff and you're a professional in the industry. So that was my goal behind doing Black Star.
Hey guys, quick interruption to the show. Please don't forget to follow us and like us.
You can find us on Spotify and YouTube. Hit that like button. We appreciate the algorithm. Thanks, guys.
Love you guys.
So regardless how successful you are right now, everyone who is successful, every entrepreneur I know has fear. And there's things that keep us up at night. What are those things that keep you up at night?
Daily anxiety, 3 panic attacks a week. Everybody thinks it's easy. Everybody sees the Rolls Royce outside. Everybody sees the houses. Everybody sees the vacations. Nobody knows what kind of shit we go through daily. There are no breaks. There are no guarantees. And you're responsible for yourself. And actually, these days, I have a lot more riding on my head because people are looking at me, whether it's a good market, a bad market. Somebody's always going to be upset, and nobody's ever calling me ever to say, hey, Al, you did a great job today. Every single phone call is there's a problem, figure it out. There's a problem, we're paying you a shit ton of money, it's your problem. So my day-to-day is a whirlwind of how do I make this problem go away, or how do I fix the situation that I don't lose a relationship, ruin a relationship, and then furthermore, close the business and retain that individual where I never want to make $5, have somebody feel like I got mine and they didn't get anything out of it. So I literally live my life by doing right by people, which is why part of the reason I do believe I'm successful is because I actually go to bed every night knowing I never fuck anybody over. So to me, that's most important. I don't care about making an extra 20 grand. If I kept you happy, I'll make 500 grand with you in a lifetime because you'll recommend me to the next 20 people. I don't believe that every person has that mentality because I see it daily.
Yeah, I agree. I can't agree more. Doing right by people, it always pays dividends.
100%.
It's the people that are selfish and don't want to help the next person that end up on their own for more reasons than they could count, and they end up ultimately pretty upset with their outcome. So you said that you hire for character. You said, and do you believe that it is more important? Let's just say you have two people, me and Dan has great character, but he has zero skill. And me, on the other hand, have a ton of skill, maybe 20 years in the industry, but you don't like my character. You're saying you would hire Dan before you would hire me.
All day.
Yeah.
All day. Because at the end of the day, you'll be the first one that fucks me. He's going to last with me, and you could teach. Listen, there's nothing difficult about selling real estate. Don't let anybody fool you. It's not. The toughest part about the job is managing people and having the right group of people around you, as far as not everything is in your control. Any moron can pay for marketing. Any idiot can put a house on the MLS. What makes me special? I do it in a way where, A, I got over years, right? I developed the right group of people around me. B, I really like to have the right service to people, whether they think it or not. Compare me to somebody else. I know what I bring to the table these years. I mean, like at this point in my career, so I might come off like a fucking dick, but I'll actually always do right by you, as opposed to some people that'll tell you everything you want to hear and then they're just going to make a quick buck on you. So when I see somebody that has characteristics of what I'm looking for in this business, anybody can be taught this game. Not everybody can last in this game.
So over the last year, interest rates have went crazy, right?
Up and down, yeah.
How do you deal with, and I know you deal with it all the time because I'm in a customer-based business too. How do you deal with a customer who is adamant about what they want, but in the back of your mind they can't afford it? They need to start like, oh, I want $1 million house, but you're thinking in the back of your mind, your pre-approval rates, boom, boom, we probably should look at 800, 750. And people literally try to tell you how to do your job. How do you deal with that in your world? Because I know in real estate, a lot of real estate brokers I deal with, I always say in my world, the biggest problem about dealing with people is dealing with people. And it's always the realtors that I know who are super successful. It's people don't inspect what they expect.
You're 100% correct. I'll be completely honest. Every person that I speak to, I try to understand them. Within 2 minutes, what separates me, I think, in a little bit of a way is I get an understanding of who I'm dealing with, how I need to go about speaking to them, and how to make them feel comfortable with me, for them to trust that it's not about me making money on them. I'll always make the money. It's about me actually giving them the right advice and me pushing them in the right direction. When I have somebody like that tells me, oh, I'm looking for X, but they're really good for X, I make it very clear to them, I'm not your guy. You know why? Because I don't want to waste your time or mine. And at the end of the day, I mean, I'm on the selling side a lot these days, where I'll walk in and somebody's like, Alex, I want 1.3. And I know the house is worth $1 million. I'm not going to lie to them. I'd rather retain the relationship and earn their respect. Even if I don't get the business, they'll remember me in 4 months and they're going to say, that guy never lied to me, and they'll recommend me to somebody. Couldn't tell you how many times that happened. On the buy side, I try to set them up with my agents that work with me, and I try to put personalities together where most people don't understand that. Why do I pick and choose who gets leads from me, direct leads? Because I try to match up who I think will work well with who's on my team, right, as opposed to just saying, here's this guy, here's that guy, here's that guy. Because my biggest flex is me making money on my agents making money, right? I want them to be successful. I get a bigger cut of that if I'm setting them up correctly. So long story short, to answer that correctly, yeah, you have some people that are in the stars, but they don't end up closing. Or when they come down to reality, you want to be the guy they work with.
Yeah.
The real people, you have to manage expectations, and you also have to develop a rapport with them, which doesn't happen overnight. You can walk somebody into a house the first time they're looking at something and you know it's perfect for them, but they haven't seen 5 other homes. Some people will press. Hey, you got to buy this. My whole thing is, listen, you got to feel comfortable with the situation, with the payment, and with me, most importantly, or with whoever I have you working with, to know that we have your best interest. It's not about making money today. It's about developing the relationship.
Right. Long-term play.
Exactly.
So you did say selling real estate's easy. Don't let them lie to you.
It's nothing hard about the transaction.
Why do so many people fail in the industry?
Because they don't have the right support system, because they're They're not very good at managing personalities and getting through a transaction, right? During the deal is the toughest part of the transaction. What do you do when inspection issues come up? How do you manage your client? What do you do if there's a mortgage issue? How do you manage the relationship between the lender and the client? Where like I have a client right now, won't bring up her name. She's going to laugh when she sees this. Very, very successful young woman, makes millions of dollars. Her credit score came back a little lower than she liked due to actually something that she didn't even know about.
Our credit scores always suck at entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Buying a very, very expensive house, selling a nice house, right? So I set her up with one of my mortgage guys, and she's yelling at this guy every day saying, I make millions of dollars. I got this, I got that. How are you not done with my mortgage yet? My boy hits me up every day. He's like, she doesn't get it. She doesn't pay the government that money. She makes that money all day. I'm qualifying her based on what she's paying the government, based on what she's showing, and based on the parameters of her credit being lower right now too.
Yeah.
Try managing a mortgage broker that doesn't even want to deal with her because he's tired of the back and forth. Her, who sincerely, actually, she definitely is a millionaire, right? So like you have, and I'm in the middle of it between the two of them all day, cursing each other off. I got to find a way to close over $3 million worth of transactions between the two deals of how to manage the expectations of getting her to do what she needs to for him to approve her, then dealing with her sale, then dealing with all the shit around it. It's not that simple, but you have to, A, experience, B, you got to be able to manage people. If you can't manage somebody and they don't trust you or they're talking to three different people, because everybody's got a father that knows how to do an inspection. Yeah. Everybody's got an attorney that they want to work with. Everybody's got a mortgage broker that's a friend. Every single person has something to say about something. How do I manage to close my business is because I make it point blank clear. Trust me, I'll get you there and it won't be painful. Don't trust me. More often than not, you're going to come back to me saying, shit, I should have listened, or how can you help me now? And a lot of times I can't. Deal's dead.
Through the last couple of years, it's been ups and downs, right? No inventory, interest rates. So you have all these people who you're responsible for that you care about because you guys work together, and basically you're their leader. As they come to you, all upset, what am I going to do? How do you overcome, not only for yourself, but for other people to tell them? Because you talked about, he said, how do people, become successful in real estate? And you said it's not that hard. But I think when you go back to when you first started real estate, when you were 21, most people don't want to wait for the money, right? Never. So they don't want to put the time in.
Correct.
It's not a job.
Correct.
They don't realize you're creating a business for yourself and it's not a job. So I think C to your answer would have been people want money right away, but they don't want to put the work in it.
Instant gratification.
Yeah.
100%.
So how do you deal with your team when you go through the times that we've just went through where there's limited inventory, the houses that are selling are super price high, people can't get mortgages, and you probably deal with a lot of people who are in business. And I'm going to tell you right now, someone who's had a job for 10 years is more likely going to qualify for a mortgage than a business owner because consistent credit, consistent paychecks, consistent, back and forth to the government. When you got a business person who's up and down, no matter how much money we make, we don't have that consistency.
Correct.
So how do you help your team overcome the adversity, especially in challenging times that we just came through?
There's no easy answer to that question. Besides, my guys look at me every single day and say, where is the business coming from? All I could do is put them in the right situation where thankfully I'm bringing the inventory all day. My phone rings all day because of my book of business to this point. So I'm putting my guys in situations, but I tell them every day, I'm like, you get out what you put in. It's not easy right now. Go hit the phones. Use my name as leverage. Go fucking door knock. Go call the, I don't even want to call the bank asset guys and say, hey, how can I get in front of you to start getting these foreclosures when they start coming back out? Get creative. If nothing is coming your way, how are you going to go get it? Nobody's handing you anything. Sure, am I giving out leads here and there? A lot of them, all the shit I pay for, I couldn't tell you how many thousands of dollars I spent a month on absolute nonsense that I'm just throwing shit at a wall to try to get leads for my guys. That's all bullshit, right? The real referrals and the phone ringing from my past book of business, that's my money all day. But what can I do to give money to all my guys looking around for money? There's really nothing I could do besides help them when they're in a situation to get something closed. I step in when I have to. They need me to show up to an appointment. I always make time for them. And then lastly, I keep telling them, I'm like, listen, you have to do something different than what everybody else is doing. If they're spending 1 hour on the phone, you got to spend 2.5 hours on the phone. And I will tell you one thing, eventually, I promise, because I've seen it in front of me and I'm a walking example, you put enough time in, it's going to come together. You do right by people, it's going to come together. You start developing a book of business, there is no way. You only need like 8 good clients to stay in this business. You know why? Because those 8 people will keep referring you.
Yeah.
Those 8 people will keep coming back spending money with you. So if you can't get that in your first 2-3 years, then maybe it's not for you.
It's a common denominator in business is referrals.
100%.
Right, just continue to do right by people, like you said earlier. But I'm really curious about how has the landscape changed? How has the industry changed, the real estate industry, pre-COVID, during COVID, and then now?
Listen, everybody and their mother, for the most part, has a real estate license, right? So, like, you get a lot of idiots in the door where they'll sell 1 to 2 houses a year. They have no idea what they're working with or what they're doing. And one of the toughest parts about my day is being able to manage a transaction with somebody on the other side that's never done this before, doesn't know what they're doing, and you don't want to blow up a transaction. And it's very, very difficult where the barrier of entry into real estate is too easy. This whole lawsuit that just came up where the National Association of Realtors just lost crazy billions of dollars of settlements or whatever, where now the whole commission landscape conversation has changed. I love it because I actually think a lot of people are going back to their day jobs, which will in turn, if you have 2 realtors on a transaction that know what they're doing and that are working together to get to a closing, it's a beautiful thing because then everybody's on the same page. Unfortunately, you have too many people that are trying to justify their paycheck in this game and really aren't in the interest of working together or working smarter, not harder for the most part. So it's not easy to deal with real estate agents in general because we are a dime a dozen. Unfortunately, it's the truth. And I think right now there's a big drop off starting, right? During COVID, when the market went up, everybody was a real estate. Everybody's a real estate agent.
And their mother.
Everybody's, or how many phone calls I get out. My sister's a realtor. I can't give her the listing. Can you take care of her on the side? Once a week. Or my brother or my friend, or we want to go with you, but we have a family member. My response is, listen, I always figure it out, right? I don't want to give away the business, but sometimes you got to give somebody a free paycheck just because they're related to so-and-so. Or my favorite is, hey, I have my real estate license, but they want to interview me to get all my information, and then they take my information and they'll list the house themselves.
It's terrible.
But listen, that's what you sign up for every single day.
Yeah. So you're a super serious business guy. I can tell when you do business, you take it serious. You're very passionate about what you do. You enjoy what you do. You enjoy helping other people. And you're definitely a mover and shaker. And what I've seen commonly with other real estate people out there is it's all about how much money they can make. You know, you're more like, hey, if I can help my team and everyone's doing good, we're all doing good. But outside of business, what do you do for fun? Like, what's a fun day, fun week look like for you if you had no business?
Get on a plane, go to Miami, have a nice dinner, hang out with my friends, vacation, travel, spend time with my kids. There's really not much more I enjoy than that. At the end of the day, I put in all this work to be able to, A, give my family the lifestyle that I've always wanted, and B, be able to enjoy it with the people around you that you actually care about and enjoy being around. So, for me, like, do I want money all day? Do I work my ass off for the money all day? Am I sorry about it? No shot. I don't, I work very hard to have what I have, and nobody ever gave me anything. But I'm not shy about enjoying the nicer things in life because of what I can provide, right? So, I mean, to me, that's everything.
How's your surrounding changed from 21 to 36? The people you associate with, your friend circle. Obviously, you're making a lot more money than when you were then. We grow up, with people in the same zip code or same area because geography puts us there and we're forced to be friends with these people. But then we grow up, and if we can grow out, if we can get rid of these friends, we still love them. They're still who they are. But how has your circle changed, and how has that circle that you've created influenced you to be the person you are today?
I think you are who you surround yourself with, to be completely honest. In my earlier 20s, I grew up with a group of friends, most of which were still all friends, cool, whatever. As I got older, as I became more successful, it was less about going out and partying and drinking and doing this and that, more of putting in the work and putting in time into my business. So as I, became a family man, some new friends came into the picture. Some people also, I believe in coming up together. So I don't think I've changed at all as a person, where if you go ask any of, anybody that knew me at 18, 19, 20 years old, I'm the same person I was. I just have more access to different things today. And I do pick and choose who I allow into my life a little bit more so now, because at the end of the day, also, once you start getting to a certain point, everybody always wants something out of you or looks for an opportunity. In my life, I try to do the best I can to help bring up the people around me that I care about, because I know they'll do the same for me if I wasn't in the same situation. So as some people had to get left behind that weren't good for me, which is 100%, as you grow, relationships change, things like that. But for me personally, there's really not many new people that come into my circle, because at the end of the day, I don't care for any type of fame or acknowledgement. I just enjoy being around the people that actually enjoy being around me for me, or my family for my family. So that's kind of, my take on it.
Right. So back to your real estate journey, if you were to do anything differently from 21 when you entered to now, if you could go back in time, would you change anything at all?
I would have bought a lot more real estate when I had the opportunity. I wasn't pissing it away on popping bottles. I would have bought a lot more. I regret not buying more. But I mean, listen, you live and you learn.
How about the act of selling? Would you have chose maybe one real estate agency, brokerage over another?
Makes no difference who you work for. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, people think Black Star's a office, right? Nobody cares.
I thought so.
Nobody cares if you're EXP, Remax, Chris, Sotheby's, whatever the fuck. Nobody gives a fuck. People call you for you. So at the end of the day, would I have changed anything? I'll be completely honest. I don't think so, because I learned all my lessons for a reason. I didn't get it back then. I would cry about it. I worked this one deal. I was like 26, 27 years old, worked my ass off, was in line for a $400,000 commission check on a large commercial plaza. Day of the closing, I got fucked out of the check because I never had a client sign a non-disclosure, and they went behind my back and did a deal. It's a long story, but I'm saying back then that money was really big to me, and that money was, I had it lined up for certain things. To this day, now I look back on it, I understand I wasn't ready for that check at that time. I needed to learn that lesson at that time, because now where I'm at in my life today, you better believe ain't nobody fucking me out of $400,000. And furthermore, I won't let anybody fuck any of my guys out of $400,000. I see the mistakes that my kids are making right now that work, for me, the younger guys. I see why I had to learn the lessons that I learned. So was I happy about it? No. And even to this day, I deal with fucking nonsense, and everything's a learning experience in this game. There's no same day, which is actually one of the things I like about real estate, because every situation is different. Every client is different. So I actually enjoy that side of it, where you're working on different things. You're working with different people. It's not the same shit twice.
Yeah. Now you said you learn the lessons for your team. So now they don't have to make the mistake, but just like kids, playing in the dirt, scraping their knees, doing something they shouldn't be doing. Sometimes you say, yeah, you're going to learn the hard way, right? Do you ever do that with your employees? Like
all
something
day.
Very small?
All day. People say they want to work for me, then they spend a week with me like, yo, he's fucking nuts. I'm an animal. I admit that anybody that wants to work for me, they probably, they don't regret it, but they're like, holy shit, we didn't realize how much, how crazy he is, how much time he puts into this, and how devoted I am to not fucking around. So at the end of the day, you might want this, but you're not ready for this. Some of my guys, I've had a couple guys cry out my office, leave my office crying.
But those guys that stay, they're the warriors. They're the guys you want.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, right? When they went out to Crete, he burned their boats. He said, we have nothing to do, right? So talking about that, does personal development play a role in your life? Have you developed personally? Do you have a mentor? Do you read books? Do you listen to podcasts? Is there anything that helps encourage you? Because we always need an outlet. We always need more. So what's your outlet, and what helps you get to that next step?
1000%. I like to learn. When I was coming up, guys like Alan Kurlander, Rob Dukansky, all these people, I would look up to them, and I was like, wow, I want to get to that business one day. I wasn't scared to reach out to them and ask them questions, help, this and that, saw how they run their businesses. They always picked up the phone. They always helped me. I tried the same thing now to pay it forward when people reach out. Not every single time, but as much as I can, I try to pay it forward as well. Where, even watching, as funny as it sounds, $1 Million Listing, Josh Altman, right? I've gotten to the point now, I got the guy's cell phone. We've actually referred business to each other. You know what I mean? Which is a beautiful thing. So but I learn from people ahead of me, and to me, I'm very competitive. There's plenty of money for everybody to get paid. It's more so about learning, to me anyway, learning from people in front of you how you could do better, how you can be better, and how you can help grow your business. So I try to take a little bit from people that I look up to in the game to see if I can implement some of their things into my business. So there's not one mentor, there's not one person, there's not one TV show. It's sincerely like I respect, Ryan Serhant's marketing ability. I like Josh Altman's negotiating ability. I love watching, other people that are in the business locally, how they conduct their business. I always, value when I work with somebody on the other side of a deal. If they're a pleasure to work with, you take something away from them, right? So for me, I always try to evolve by A, staying in front of what's happening, and then B, trying to adjust my business to make sure that we're still in the right, trajectory.
5 years from now, if you were to project 5 years from now, Black Star, where do you see yourself besides having less hair? Where do you see yourself?
It's definitely going, bro. Definitely going. I'm fatter.
It looks great though. Don't beat him up.
No,
wanna take your hat off?
daily, bro.
I'm just messing around. Now, you have a good head of hair. I was just kidding.
No, it's going. I tell my barber, I ask him I'm like, when's the time to shave it off? He keeps covering it up, but the bald spots are getting worse.
Finasteride.
All day. 5 years. I'd like to be. I'm hoping the Florida business starts to take off a little bit more. It's very difficult to get it going out there just because I can't give as much of my time as I would like out there. But I would love to get the Florida business moving. Hopefully, a few more agents, everybody making money, being the same person as far as a family man I am, maybe having more time to spend with my family, less dealing with the bullshit that I'm dealing with right now. I'm hoping we get to 500, 600, 700 million a year.
Would you move to Florida?
If the opportunity was correct, yes.
What's hot in Florida right now? Where's the hot area?
Depends on where you want to be. Like, I don't do any business in Naples. That area is booming, right? I'm
Really?
more like, I'm familiar with like Sunny Isles, Aventura, Hallandale. Me and my wife have a place out in Hallandale, right in the Beach Club Towers. We love it over there. We have a lot of friends close. 30 minutes to Fort Lauderdale, 30 minutes to Miami. So like, I love the Florida market. If I actually went out there and I gave it like a full year of working my ass off, I know that market is prime for the taking.
He's a Miami boy, popping bottles. Bro.
I love my
Wrinkle.
that in that market. You could easily step. They got bigger commissions. They got beautiful new construction. I love that market personally, but my daily life and my bread and butter is here. But even over there, no advertising, no money being poured into it this year. We'll finish around 35, 40 million this year in Miami.
My boy keeps telling me
we're making money.
Miami. He's like, bro,
You don't want
I make so much money. I said, dude, I am not moving to Miami.
You'll spend all your money.
It's tough to be out
That's
there all
not
year,
my
but when
life.
you're out there, you're a happy camper.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
the food's better. The vibe
food's
is more.
good,
It's calmer.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I sit on the balcony. I hear the ocean sounds. It calms me down.
Yeah.
Like here, I'm sitting outside. I'm looking at my parking lot. I don't know. I like Florida.
It's definitely way more beautiful out there. But
Yeah.
I do want to go back because I'm envious of what you said. You said, I don't feel bad about taking time off and spending it with my family and traveling, where I struggle with that every single day. And
I still
don't
pick up
have
the
a
phone.
family.
You still pick up the phone. I'm still working.
How long is that something that's learned, I feel like, unless you tell me otherwise, it's always been like that for you, but is that something you had to learn?
The biggest fight me and my wife have daily is when is enough, or when can you actually turn off the phone, or
Right.
when can you just stop for a minute? That's our biggest argument on daily. She's like, you make X amount of money. She's like, you don't need to deal with this shit anymore. She's like, don't turn away this client. Don't take this. Don't pick up that phone call. We'll be in Dubai. It'll be 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm on fucking phone calls. She's like, she's like, take a week. I'm like, nah, I can't do it. Mm-hmm. That's our biggest argument. For me, I think that's also what sets me apart and why my phone keeps ringing is because I treat everybody the same way, whether you're getting a fucking rental or you're buying a $5 million house or a $300,000 share, whatever it is, I give everybody the same respect. And if I don't have the time for them, I make sure I set them up with the right people and I'm still in the background. So I don't ever put it down. However, I make more time to be present with my family, but yet I'm still getting yelled at because I'm on the phone. So you can't really get away from it.
Okay.
So somebody who maybe looks up to you, they don't want to reach out to you. Like you reached out to all the people that you saw as a mentor. You talk to them now. You got their numbers. You guys do deals together. But you have somebody who's secretly following you, that looks up to you, that really wants to be like you and wishes internally they could do what you're doing. So if I was that person, how could you encourage me if I wanted to become a real estate agent, I wanted to become a broker, whatever the situation is, but I was too scared? How can you and what would you say to encourage me to go out there and do it?
Honestly, you don't get anything if you don't go after it. So It's not easy. It's not fun. There's no one like any of these, self-help books or like, here's the guide to selling 20 million in real estate. It's all bullshit. So you step in, you do it, you learn from the people in front of you, you do it in a respectful fashion. You come to me anytime, where even the people that I don't take on, I would say 8 out of every 10 people, I always answer them. I always give them a real answer. I don't sugarcoat it. I tell people what it is. I tell people how it is. And if you can last in the game and you go about it correctly, there's plenty of room for everybody to make money in this business. There's more than enough, right? So to me, is there a level of competition? Always. But there's also a respect factor. When if you can make it in this game, then you could do anything.
Grit and grind. Love it.
Yep.
I mean, that's what you need to be successful in any industry, right?
100%.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. If anyone's looking to buy a house, sell a house, rent a house, any of those, how do they find you and your team?
Go to @Pritzker_EXP Realty. That's my personal page. Hit me up anytime. I'll happily, facilitate anything I can, set them up with my team members, whatever it might be. But I'm always thankful for any business that comes our way. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Well, guys, make sure you're following us on YouTube and on Spotify. We appreciate the algorithm. And Alex, thanks for being our guest today.
Thank you, guys.